Ron, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you. First point on the agenda, comments from the floor. Okay, so we'll move on to the next point, which is property tax order.
This is our tax report, property taxes for this year, and you open it up, you can kind of see how it's broken down, and what our cap is for this school year. Anything else to add, Beverly?
Any questions? So as we discussed earlier, this will provide for a 2.94% tax increase. We're proposed to the voters, and that's what we put in order for the voters to approve.
Just under the tax rate.
Any questions? Okay, so then I'd ask for a motion to approve. Second? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, then the next thing on the agenda is tenure approvals. I don't have, the mic isn't signed on yet, so someone else could read it. I don't know. Okay, so at the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby grants tenure to the following: Lauren Goldman, Carly Beretta, Lee Schaefer, and Andrew Toller. Any questions? I would entertain, can I do consent agenda? Okay, second on the consent agenda? Okay, then all in favor of the consent agenda? Sorry, this is how we have to go through this. Okay, then I accept the vote. If there are any questions, none, then I would entertain a motion to approve these tenures.
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Thank you.
Hooray.
One more thing to say, to appoint the substitute monitor, who is Linda Scafidi-Fonti. Would I ask for a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Second? Any questions? Okay, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. And then I would ask for a motion to, not recess yet.
You can recess, yes.
Okay, motion to recess.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
What we'd like to do now is the administrators to come up the principals are going to go over the district programs that you asked the district files some information about, and I'll take you through a little bit of everything. So we're right ahead.
We always start off with our mission, vision, and values. We're going to showcase all the programs and opportunities for students that are outside of the normal daily classroom study. Focus on giving students an opportunity to get socially connected in some form. Social connections lead to improved attendance, grades, behaviors, and eventually graduation rates. The list included in this presentation is from elementary through the high school. So we're going to start with the elementary. These are some things that we are doing at the elementary school. So of course this summer we are going to continue with our One Book, One School and our Summer Stars program. We are going to be reading Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And this year what we're doing, instead of having 1 year I had the staff members read the book, then the next year I had community members read the book. This year what I'm doing is having the 5th grade students, the outgoing 5th grade students, they're going to read the book. And then they're making a backdrop in our class of We'll walk on the chocolate factory. We're going to do a field trip at the end like we did last year. Probably visit some chocolate factories, although I wanted to go to Hershey Park, but it was too far away. But anyways, we're going to go to some chocolate factories out Albany way, and maybe go out to lunch. And then we're going to have that carnival that we had last year at the end to just celebrate the end of reading the book. Our art teacher is...
You need a chaperone from chocolate factory?
Yes. You're welcome to come.
I'll be it.
Our art club, so our art teacher, Ms. Alberico, has like an informal art club with fifth graders. They can come down during their lunch and recess. They helped with these couple projects. We did a kindness rocks in the entryway, and actually during Kindness Week, they painted the rocks that are in the kids throughout the whole building painted the rocks. So those rocks are painted, and then I wasn't going to put them in the gardens, but I think maybe in the entry of East Hill where there's a little side garden, it might be cute to put those rocks there. And then, I don't know if you saw on our Instagram or Facebook, she did a winter scene of the town of Canajoharie, and the kids, our club helped with the backdrop, and then kids of all ages participated and named the different buildings and the kids and the trees, so it was really, really cute. One other thing we do is we like to recognize staff. So, and actually I had a kid that came to me and says, I really think the next group we should recognize are the aides and the monitors in our building. So I said, that's a great idea. I said, we'll talk about it and we'll organize something. So he's a fifth grader. But we did do a bus safety month during the month of March, and we did a driver parade. So we surprised the drivers and had them go through the building, and the kids made signs and just said thank you and clapped for the bus drivers, so they walked the entire building. And then we did a drawing for the buses that didn't have any referrals. We're in a drawing, and we selected that day a bus to have breakfast with their bus driver. So we had breakfast pizza the following morning. The bus driver came in and sat and had breakfast with the kids. It was really sweet. So we just wanted to show how much we appreciate them and thank them for all they do. So we also had a counselor's day. The art teacher did this wonderful little poster with balloons, and we thanked our counselors for what they do in our school. And then positive referrals, when I put this together, it was at the end of the quarter, so we had 666 referrals. That's a picture of some of the kids that received referrals. Every time they get referrals, they get like a certificate. And then now I moved stewards. We used to give stewards cones out to them, but I've been getting so many referrals that I ran out. And I didn't realize how expensive those little tickets are. So, because they donated them to the school. So now instead, what I've done with partnership with the PTA or PTO is we put every kid that gets a positive referral is entered into a monthly drawing. I have a K-1-2 box and a 3-5 box. They're entered in that drawing, and at the end of the month I pick kids to have lunch with me. So I take their order from McDonald's, and they've been delightful to work with McDonald's, and they have lunch. I have tablecloths set up, and I set up their McDonald's, and we have lunch together in the cafeteria. So that has been like, they love that. Like they cheer and they can't wait, and they're excited to win lunch with me. So I think they like the McDonald's more than having lunch with actually me. But yeah, it's very nice. We've done it now for 2 months, and it's gone over really well. Also, one thing to help with school spirit, just kids enjoying coming to school, because I think kids generally work hard when they know they feel very welcome and they want to be there and are excited to come to the school. So every month I worked with some teachers over the summer to come up with theme days in a week. So these are all the months that we've had so far. So in October, we had like a Halloween week. We did decorating of the halls, and that's just a picture of Officer Peruzzi with a kid that dressed up for Halloween. In November, we had American Education Week, and we also have a Community Readers Day, where we actually, Andrea Toad, who just got tenure, she organized it and spearheaded it. We had community readers, Dr. Burley came, and they were assigned to a classroom, every classroom in the building, and they read a book, and then they talked about their career, what they do in the community. And so that was really successful. We'll be doing that again next year. And we also had like a career day where the kids could dress up within what they want to be in the future. In December, we had, of course, Ugly Sweater Day. The kids are dressed up. We had the Grinches visit. It was a fun week. And then in January, we have the Great Kindness Challenge. So we talk about kindness and do all different types of activities around that. And then February, of course, is Valentine's Day. This year we did a door decoration contest. So everybody decorated their door. They had themes on their doors. These are some of them. And even the kitchen staff got involved. So the kitchen staff did 3 doors, and the one with the bacon and the eggs was one of them. And then we had, on the superintendent conference, we had a luncheon, and we awarded the kitchen staff with a prize for having the best doors in the school. So that was a lot of fun. And then in March up there. I don't see March, but there's April. April was Earth Week, so we did hats off to Mother Earth, wear a hat, dress like your mother. So this little boy in kindergarten, his mom works at Price Chopper, so he dressed in his mom's attire for Price Chopper. And then a really cool thing that the art teacher did is she brought them outside and had them make things with things that they found outside as a project. So she had them take objects around the school and create write Earth out. So that was a really cool thing that she did with them during that week. One big day that we did do in March is we did Wellness Day. It was Wellness Wednesday. Miss Nair, the counselor, she was the spearhead of this event. And we had, this flower was our theme, so we built all the activities based on this flower. We had yoga, we had like choices for kids to go to, so they could go to yoga, they could go to the library, do an activity. We had free swims, so every grade level had free swim. They got to go to the pool together. We made it fun. The entryway was all balloons on the floor when they came in that day. So it was just a great day. And stewards donated sherbet, so we served sherbet to every kid in the school. That was a lot of fun too, and they really enjoyed that. And we actually have a lot of sherbet left over, so but it was a great day, and this is something I think we'll carry on next year too, because it overwhelmingly, the staff and the kids just loved it. Other programs that we do are computer-based programs, so we do have iReady in our diagnostic, and we use that as an intervention as part of our AIS program. And this picture is of the grass. I asked Melissa Martin, who's the aide that oversees iReady for me, and she created this so when you come in the main entrance, you see the results. So one side is reading and one side is math. And it goes with the goals that are posted on our TVs. So it's really nice, so when kids go by, they can see how their grade level is doing. And then we also have Dino, which teachers can use at their leisure in their classroom with their kids during centers, which offers Spanish and French.
I've been pushing for that for years. And I was just wondering how's that going?
It's going good.
Used well,
Yeah. It's going well, and they use it during like centers or like in the morning. I'm gonna start having our librarians start using it too during library class. So yeah. So
and kids are enjoying it.
yes. Yeah. And then our makerspace, which was the new area, was our old computer lab, and then we turned it into an AIS room for a little while before our new furniture came in. So that's the new furniture. That's what it looks like, and the center pictures are the front showcase when you walk into school. Right now, we have that displayed in there. Those are all the things that some of the things that they've been doing in Makerspace. They've been doing a lot with Legos. They created mazes with Legos where they had to work together to get a ball through the maze with the Legos, so it was really cool. She did fun projects like these kids had to take gummy worms and put them in the cup. They couldn't use their fingers, they could only use paper clips. They had to work together. And then that was robotics with the CSI. So that's the makerspace. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you very much. I am going to birdwalk slightly before I get into my part of the presentation. Something Ms. Ambrosio brought up, and I know this presentation is more, the programs that we offer for student connectedness, and how are we outside of the classroom trying to get students more involved in different things and making them part of the school community. She brought up just the appreciation that students and staff show for each other. And I just want to echo that. A couple months ago, I got a call from a frantic call from Emily Jamie, and it's, how many bus drivers do we have? I don't know the answer, but I find the answer. I said, wow, what's up? She said, well, it's Bus Driver Appreciation Week. We want to do something, we want to make something for them. We want to know exactly how many we have, starts, bus drivers, everything, and we want to celebrate everything. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. Yesterday was Administrative Assistance Day, and they did across the middle school, they did all these things. They incorporated the kids, and the kids, wrote out how much they appreciate Mrs. Scandair and hung them across the office, and we had a big celebration for her. So, I know we're focusing on student things, but I really do think that students and staff go above more so than any place I've ever been to recognize the efforts of what people do in this district. I think that's something that's very special. I formulated my couple slides a little bit different. I really wanted to kind of highlight things that we're doing for social and emotional wellness, connected to the classroom and the school, and then also physical wellness and lifetime physical wellness. Excuse me. So, things that we brought in this year, or we're kind of brought in the last year and a half, really to attach students together to the school. We've started restorative circles. Mrs. Nair comes down and works with all three grade levels in different rotations and during different times. Really embedding that idea of restorative practices into the middle school. As conscious discipline, really has now been in year 6 or 7, I think, at the elementary school. And Mr. Patino has really started to implement, and Ms. Hodge and the counseling staff, restorative practices in the high school. The middle school kind of becomes the blending point for that. So where we see that transition from conscious discipline into restorative practices. So restorative circles have come in conflict resolution with Ms. Buteau, Ms. Nair, Ms. Snell, if the case arises. So when there is a problem between students, whether it's 2 students or a small group of students, sitting down and really getting to the bottom of that and trying to manage some of those things.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Is that a voluntary thing, like the students asking to be willing, or is it they told they have?
In conflict resolution, it's always, there has to be a willingness. You can't mediate a conflict if one person isn't in a place where they're ready for that mediation. So that's something that's offered, and sometimes in that moment a student isn't ready for it, and it's something that a day later they're ready for, or a week later that they're ready for. So that is based on student agreement, I guess we would say. It's not something that's forced, because it's just like forcing an apology. You can force an apology, but does it really mean anything? I'd argue it doesn't. Re-entry meetings, and I wish Mr. Conyer was still here. This is one of the things that we've started this year when we have students that are facing a discipline, whether it's suspension from a bus or suspension from school, when they're out of school suspended or suspended long-term off the bus, when they come back, we have a non-negotiable re-entry meeting. And that's with myself. If it involves the bus, Mr. Convier, the bus driver, and the bus aide will even come down to the building. This has been something that we've seen a huge change with students. We've seen students go from frequent offenders on the bus causing some of the biggest problems we have, to now the bus driver stopping me when they see me and saying, I just want to let you know this is becoming a model bus citizen. And I really think that that meeting we had in October is a reason for that. So that has been one of the things that has been transformative in terms of, welcoming that student back into school or back onto the bus, but also kind of setting the expectation and the non-negotiables with the parents there. And those re-entry meetings will also have the parent there. It's not just the student and staff. The last couple of things are things that we brought in conjunction with Herkimer Prevention or HFM Prevention Council. The Choices program, which is in that picture, Sean comes in and works with our 6th and 7th grade health classes. Right now he's embedded in 7th grade health. And he comes in and it's collaborative-based challenges and games to get those 16, 17 students in health class interacting together and motivating each other, sometimes in competition, but also collaboratively working towards a goal. So this is actually from, I think it was Tuesday, it was up this week, and there's another 2 groups working off screen, but these groups of 4 or 5 students are collaboratively trying to build the highest bucket tower that they can. And it's a silly challenge, but they get very competitive with it, but the amount of teamwork that goes into it is phenomenal. Then we have another member from our HFM Prevention Council staff that comes in, and they work 2 different programs in 6th and 7th grade health, and it's too good for drugs and too good for violence. And it's really using those same types of collaborative approaches to foster healthy living choices, whether it's choosing to build relationships with people to keep yourself out of conflict and violent situations, or also really highlighting that idea of incorporation and knowledge and keeping kids to make healthy choices away from drug and drug use. At the bottom, it kind of connects to this overall social emotional wellness, is we just had our first kind of element of what is a STAR activity in high school. Right before break, Miss Anderson and Miss Western, so 6th grade and 7th grade teacher came to me and they're like, we'd like to start trying some type of a STAR activity at the middle school. So we broke students up in teams, we gave them a chance to meet their team and to get the team color and things like that. And then they got to sign up for team-based activities or challenges. And we did it intentionally in a small window just to kind of build those initial relationships. And then before Memorial Day break, we're actually going to go back and we hope to build a full day middle school style STAR activity to where they are going to work in those cross grade 6 through 8 teams. And the plan is that that's then going to carry into the fall. In the middle school, I guess pre-COVID we call it, the first day of school, we always did group types of expectations. And they rotated around in different stations, they collaborated with each other, but we also kind of set our middle school practices and policies in place. We plan on bringing that back, and we plan on not doing it in grade level cohorts anymore. We're going to kind of build these STAR teams from day one, because it's a great opportunity to have those 7th and 8th grade leaders of the school now bring those 6th graders into the fold and start building those relationships. The other thing I just want to highlight is we've made a commitment over the last, this year now that things have opened up, of really promoting lifetime wellness activities in terms of physical wellness in the middle school. And I put a couple examples up here. Ooh, I took off, I apologize, I had a couple other bullets that came up, and I had to put them off. So we've partnered with, all the way to the right, Black River Outdoor Education Program. It's a nonprofit organization that operates out of Boonville. It's privately funded through donations. So essentially, there's no cost to school districts aside from getting there. We've taken part in various hiking activities, snowshoeing, mountain biking. They also offer canoeing in 8th grade. So it gives students the opportunity to go out and explore nature and build some lifetime type of wellness activities that they may or may not partake in when they're home. In the middle, we started a partnership. This was really exciting with Royal Mountain this year. In 7th grade, we trialed it. Next year, the plan is to bring it across the entire middle school, so we're going to do the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We brought 62 7th graders to Royal Mountain to go skiing. It was phenomenal. Royal Mountain opened up the lower slope and lift literally for the entire day from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They offered lessons, rentals, and the lift ticket for $20, which the school was able to cover for all students. And I tell you, I was going to embed a couple other pictures and videos. Students that I never would have associated with snow sports and skiing. I'm getting text messages. I was not able to go, even though I'm an avid skier. I happened to have COVID that week. But text messages from teachers saying like this, and videos of these students bombing down the mountain in the middle of the day. And it was so refreshing to see, because some of these students I can absolutely say would never have had that opportunity to ski one time if it wasn't for the school really championing this on their behalf. So it was a great opportunity, and I'd be remiss if I didn't point out how welcoming Jeff down at Iroquois Plains is. Whether we're doing a reward activity at grade level, actually 8th grade is going tomorrow for a reward activity, and all 8th grade is going in 2 different shifts to go bowl for 2 hours and have lunch if they choose. Jeff bends over backwards to be accommodating for us, and is very welcoming, whether it's a reward or a whole class-based or grade-based activity. And we're actively trying to build in some other things. What I left off, we had weather kind of not cooperate. We actually had snow tubing scheduled at Glimmerglass, and then we got that really random warm rain to destroy the hill at Glimmerglass. We weren't able to do that, but that's something we already have planned next year. And then also the White's Town skating rink I've been in contact with. We're going to bring all 3 grade levels ice skating next year. And these are relatively close by opportunities that students don't always get at home. And we're trying to incorporate this idea of lifetime wellness and physical wellness, because these are all things that you don't have to be in school to do. There's something we're trying to get students interested in that will last them, past school. But it's a great opportunity in school to build those relationships and do something that's outside the norm of their classmates. Then the last thing, I apologize, this video, it worked when I was in my office on the Wi-Fi or on the hardline report here. I just want to highlight, I'll send this out to everybody if it's not shared. Lauren Goldman, who got thanked earlier, has transformed the library media space. And one of the activities she's done, kind of in the model of what Ms. Jones does at the high school and bringing her CSI students down to the middle school and elementary school, she's really geared some of the middle school library students to become teachers in the elementary school. They've gone down and worked in this Barnett course, Library Media Center at the elementary school, presenting their Makey activities. Whether it's, turning a banana or a set of bananas into a piano, or, programming Ozobots and things like that. They've done a really nice job of going down and being, teacher leaders at the elementary school. To the left, she also, we run that battle of the books over the last couple of years. The middle school team this year went, and I think they finished third out of third, but they embraced that competition, and we have that team back together. And most of we're very 6th grade heavy. There's a lot of 6th grade battle of the books participants, so hopefully that will last through their entire middle school. And then something that
what is Battle of the Books?
So Battle of the Books, they're given a list of a series of books, I believe it is, that they have to prepare for and read, and then they basically go and they're quizzed on the books. So it's a competition based on a set of novels that they have to read from. And then the last thing I wanted to include up there, that's actually a piece of student not artwork, but programming work up there. I think it's the flag of Moldova. No, I can't remember what it is. It starts with that. We started a computer programming elective last year in 6th grade, and then scheduling-wise, we're actually able to offer in 8th grade this year. So we have a group of, I think it's 13 students working with Miss Dorr using a site called Code Avengers. And Code Avengers allows for entry-level self-paced HTML design, website design, programming in Python, and then block programming as well. So we have students who are doing, very elementary programming at their own space, and we have students who are also starting to program in Python right now. So this is something that Code Avengers is something that we we actually implemented this year across K-8. So Ms. Barnett Court is starting to use it in her elementary school library classes, and then we are going to embed it in some of our library reading classes in 6, 7, and 8 next year. And we still plan on offering the coding elective in 8th grade next year as well. So really building that basic knowledge of some elementary to middle level coding that will build nicely into the programming pathway that exists at high school. Thank you. Oh, I didn't realize the library space was on there. Yes, if you look back. In this idea of reimagining some learning spaces across the district, I had mentioned earlier that the library media space at East Hill was long neglected. It was, became kind of a dumping ground because there was really only one person in there, one period a day. And when Ms. Goldman came in, she really transformed what it looked like. It was still, a library of 30 years ago. I mean, that's not an insult, but the library media space has changed. So we were able to kind of change how we use that library media space with some new furniture and some new layouts. A lot of collaborative, flexible seating, especially if you look at the middle there. Those desks are called something called the Kaleidoscope series. So you have these tables, desks that are configurable in multiple different possibilities that allows for individual desk work, but then partner work, into all types of different group work, as well as some fun. You can see kind of the wobble stools that exist there, and then some more traditional seating to the right with one of the portable smart boards, and to the left some of that cafe-style seating that we see in the cafeteria here now. It's almost walking to some of these spaces. You almost it feels like you're going to a Barnes and Noble or a Panera Bread or something like that. It's a very welcoming space that students run into, and it's been exciting to see. Thank you very much.
And that picture to the right is Eastport. So that picture now is going, we invested in the Eastport program. That's a couple of kids.
Okay. All right. Talking about fitness center. We have a powerlifting team, so it's very exciting. Look, we all understand the importance of athletics and how do we get more and more kids. So obviously, the fitness center is great for our current athletes because we have a district powerlifting, district training program. So everyone can be supported: football, baseball, track. They're on this program, but it also offers something to really people like me. I can't catch, I can't throw, but I can pick things up and put them back down. And that's really the essence of what powerlifting is. So we have a picture of some of our athletes, not only that they're competing in a powerlifting competition against Amsterdam at the end of the month. So that's very exciting. It's the first time we've done this, and hopefully we'll continue to grow this as time goes on. Besides providing more athletic opportunities,
Just give us a heads up on that, so ready to come.
yeah, absolutely. It'll be really fun. And it's something new. It's something we haven't done before. And so, what's really exciting about the fitness center, besides it's an expanded athletic opportunity for us. It's a new sport that we didn't have before. Kim Hayes is down there. I go down there pretty regularly. What it does for the kids is what's so important. I can tell you stories about individual kids, the self-esteem that it builds, and the good habits it builds. Without naming names, we've had a kid who was just really struggling, doing drugs, failing 4 or 5 classes, and just made a decision to get down there, start working out, make new friends, and now he's down there, 4 or 5 days a week, working out. He's failing 0 classes, and there's no such thing as vaping in this kid's life anymore. It's all about weightlifting, what can I eat, what supplements do I take, and he's just met a whole bunch of people who are positive. I can tell you the same story about almost every one of these kids. The self-esteem, it makes them want to come to school. The Thursday before break, I was in the lunchroom talking to a few of them, and they were like, is the fitness center going to be open next week? That's all they can think about. They want to be here, they want to train, because, when you get into something like this, it becomes an addiction. For me, it's an addiction. I was here at 4 o'clock this morning lifting weights before work because I have to, and it's comes in and says, hey, I hit a new personal record in the squat stand, everyone cheers. And when everyone's going for a lift, everyone applauds. You guys, Receptions is down there, Smith's down there. They can attest to what I'm saying. So it's such an unbelievably positive atmosphere. And, you know, and we have huge groups of kids down there. You know, you have sometimes Andrew and Tracy complain about that, but you know, sometimes you have 30, 50 kids down there working out at the same time, but it's all positive and it's all encouraging, and the kind of kids that go down, that's what makes it so special. The kids, these kids aren't going to join a team, but they'll go down with their friends and lift weights, and you know, and all of a sudden they're not failing classes, they're not getting referrals. Their whole, like, it changes their whole lifestyle. So it's just an unbelievably fantastic and positive thing. And it's something we're going to continue to grow. And I have a kid now.
It's a connection with the teachers and the students that we wouldn't have had before.
Oh, absolutely.
Discussions about, this is, you want to do something today? That's amazing.
Right, because we have a number of teachers. They're down there, Andrew's down there, Miss Sims is down there, Miss Adams is down there, I'm down there, you know, and then a number of Blake's down there, a number of people go down there. And so it's like now we're all kind of working out together. You know, and it almost blurs the line between teacher and students. And you know, kids are always like, you know, I'm gonna be lifting more than you one day. It's like, one day, but not today. So it's just a fantastic thing. We look forward to in the future even growing this, where we'll maybe do powerlifting competitions without beyond just Amsterdam. You know, with Father, with John. So that's kind of as it works. So we're super excited about that. You know, Star and Pi days. So and Cancer Games. So we all know about Star Day, but really, you know, Star Day is a cornerstone of the high school. And the last Star Day was probably the best Star Day we've ever had. I think so. I think all the teachers here would say so. What's most important that we heard from the kids, this was the best Star Day we've ever had. This is one of the best days. You know, kids always go, can we do this more often? Can we do this more often? So what makes it so special? And, you know, these pictures are kind of fun. You see they're playing a game show. You see Phil with his stupid mustache. You know, you see kids running a little race that, well, I don't know if you can tell, they have to balance the ball between their hips there. And then you see Reed telling the story. You don't see, and a picture can't convey what Star Day is all about. And that's the raw emotion. This day started with laughter. It led to tears, and more tears. And then ended with a lot more laughter. During the staff meeting, right before February break, we had a big restorative circle with the staff, where we talked about the challenges we faced with COVID. We talked about some of our best memories of Canjo. We talked about what we can do to rebuild the bonds that COVID broke between all of us. And Tracy and Carol, and it was brilliant, decided to take that same idea and bring it to the kids. So one of the activities we did was all the kids had the same restorative circle, which was great. So every teacher and every kid in school is doing restorative circle at the same time within their teams. You know, when we do restorative circle at first, every teacher, and I'm included in this, so this is teachers, and I've done a lot of circles. You're always nervous it's going to be a flop. That you're going to hand the talking piece, and they're just going to keep passing the talking piece. No one's going to say anything. Everyone has that fear, but that's just not what happens. I have the luxury of getting to every classroom, so I got to see a snippet of every Star team. And in every class I walked into, there were kids telling stories and laughing, and nobody passed the talking piece. You know, and it was the first question was, what's one of your best memories of Canjo? And I heard stories of friendship, stories of wonderful teachers, a video of Mr. Carey faking an earthquake and falling on the floor in the middle of class. There's all sorts of crazy things, and it was just so wonderful, and they all shared that. And you know, and it's seniors, and it's freshmen, and it's kids who are athletes and non-athletes, the top 10 and the bottom 10, you know, but everyone's together sharing these memories, and talking about how the pandemic, impacted them. How can we prepare that? This slide here, we had two speakers. We had Reed Dudley, so I think everyone kind of knows Reed's story, and so he's pictured there. And his final slide was, you know, him winning the championship. But his message was that of hard work. He didn't start out as a champion. He started out as a kid who lost more than he won. And he worked hard. He didn't give up. He didn't quit. And now he became the champ. And also we had another speaker speak, Connor Hill, who told an unbelievable story. And if you know incredibly deep anxiety and depression. He shut down, he disappeared, he started failing all of his classes. I was in constant contact with him and his mother. He struggled with alcoholism. Very few people knew that. And it took him a long time to rebuild that. And we were kind of working together. I was working with the family every step of the way. And he told his story, and it was something that no one would think. You see this kid, he's always like this, he's always bouncing, he's always so happy, but he has this darkness in him, and this thing that he had to overcome. And he shared that with the whole school. Then what started happening is other people, random kids in the crowd, started sharing. Teachers started sharing about the struggles that they've had and the demons that they've had to overcome. And the message was hope. Everyone has demons. Everyone has a past. You could overcome it. And people shared some extremely personal things. Both staff and students. And some kids with a lot of tears. A lot of kids were crying. But the message is, we've been there, and you could overcome it. And so it really was. It was deep and it was powerful, and it was something that just had a really sort of ripple through the whole school. And then Phil Horner and his mustache. We had the Camden Game Show, which is the complete opposite of that. So it took us on a roller coaster ride of emotions. That's what Star Day is about. It brought a sense of community. It brought kids back together like we've never seen before. Now, I don't have any pictures of my day, but earlier on 3/14, we had a Pie Star Day. And so the method part was the same kind of thing. We had a number of fun math-related activities around pie. And we spent the afternoon doing that, building community, and then we went for a walk. So, what makes STAR such an amazing thing is it offers us a tremendous degree of flexibility. We could use it for educational opportunities, right? We could use it for fitness opportunities. We could use it for emotional opportunities. So it really covers everything. And I think the last two Star Days now that are kind of restriction-free really cover all the bases. So I cannot thank Tracy and Carol enough. So on a more academic note, this is learning room. So the whole thing is summed up in two pictures. So right now we have a few seniors getting to take a class. We have a business class and we have an essential entrepreneurship class. So those are the two classes we currently offer. We don't have a lot of enrollment. We have 2 kids in one class, about 5 in the other class. So that's an extra opportunity that we wouldn't normally have. So this was the year we got to get it off the ground. Next year, we're planning to offer a few more classes. So next year, our goal is to host classes. So we have Tracy is going to do an app class, like how to create apps. Mr. Shaw and Mr. Horner are going to do a podcasting class. And thank you, Jen. Our new hire, Justice, our new socialist hire, already teaches like a social issues class through distance learning at his current school, and we've already kind of stolen it. So he's going to teach it here. So that's what we have. We'll be able to offer 3 distance learning classes. And in addition to that, we'll seek to take on more classes. So this is it's a great thing because you have kids get to meet kids from other districts. I tried to show them the picture. It's kind of hard, so I can take a picture of a picture. But if you look at the monitor, you have a teacher there, you have that students presenting, you have the other kids in the class, and those kids see our kids. So they get to know people from other districts that would never have a chance to meet otherwise. And they get to have educational opportunities they would never get to have otherwise. And we get to do the same. There's no other school offering a podcasting class. There's no other school offering a class on making apps and marketing apps, right? So we get to have these opportunities and show off. So it's just in its infancy, but I think it's going to grow pretty quick, and it's something we're going to continue to expand because I just think there's a lot of potential there. Next, just kind of some random programs. So we've been running circles. Ms. Hodge runs a circle of about 5-6 students, and Ms. Snare comes down and runs 2 separate circles. And so we have about a total of about 15, almost 20 students in circles. And they're 4 different things, some for anger, some for social anxiety, some just to talk. And so we've had a lot of success with a number of students who, are still kind of figuring things out, especially after spending so much time in isolation. So these circles are great for that.
decide for the students to be circle? And again, is it obligatory or?
100% voluntary. It's decided by guidance and me, and so we all kind of meet and figure out like, what's the circle going to be for. So kind of pick a few themes. Like one's like an anger circle, one's a social anxiety circle, just for example. And then we think, what are the kids we see struggling in these areas? And then we, we talk to them, we reach out to them and say, hey, are you interested in this? And usually they are. I think one student didn't really want to do it. Everyone else we approached is like, yeah. Even the ones who are reluctant, if we could get them once, they wind up staying. So, we've done circles on discipline issues in the past, and we had a number of, oh, this is stupid, and like, after 2 circles, it's like, hey, when are we going to meet again? You know what I mean? So, it is something that they want to talk about. And it's nice to have a safe space versus, an adult, a couple of students, and they form pretty strong bonds within those circles. And we're kind of expanding this. That was another nice part of Star Days. Every teacher got to have a taste of what it's like to run a circle and how enormously beneficial it can be. Where normally people would be hesitant to take that risk in their classroom. So after school work recovery is a program I started this year. We've had a number of kids on the list. Thank you, Ms. Hammonds. She's been running it. It's basically just kids come after school and it's just to work. I mean, it's really what it is. It's almost like, it almost looks like a homework time, but it's 4 kids failing 2 or more. And so just going through, of the 28 kids I had on the list at the end, the beginning of quarter 3, 13 of them are now failing either 1 or less. So that means that kids were all failing 2 or more, and are now failing 1 or less. And then so you also have kids that were failing 5 and are now failing 2. So they wouldn't be counted in that statistic, but it really has been a tremendous help. And we are forcing kids, and that is not voluntary because there's a few that actually will. Right, there's a few that aren't on the list that always show up from San Room anyway, but we have to kind of force it. But when we force it, we find it's effective. Kids come, they do the work. Parents are almost always on board. We have late buses for kids who need it, and it's been tremendously effective. So we're going to continue to grow that in the coming years. You know about our college course offerings, and we're always trying to expand college course offerings. We have AP exams. Practice AP exams this week and next week, and then the actual AP exams start shortly after. The rise in CP interest, this is kind of an interesting thing. Amanda and I are at a point where we have more interest than we do have spots. So I don't know if I could really pinpoint one reason. I think people more and more, maybe they're kind of shying away from college. They don't want to, have a life of student loans and say, hey, let me pick up a trade instead. So we're seeing a tremendous rise in that, which is also why we're working to expand the Pathways program, because that stuff we can do here, and then we don't have to, send kids out of here to get the same benefits here. We've talked about that in the past. We've also been looking into some new diploma distinctions. So the seal of civic readiness is something that's really interesting. It's something New York State is just starting, so nobody's doing it yet. But I met with one of the people from State Ed who got back to you surprisingly quickly. It's not something you can see from State Ed. And we had a big Google Meet. She sent us the requirements, and a lot of this is what we're already doing. You need X amount of credits in social studies. There's some community service stuff, which is we will be starting. We already have the mechanism in place, and now that hopefully COVID's over, we can actually get started in September. And then there's some other things you could do. You have to do it's like a menu. You pick X from here, X from here. You know what I mean? And so there's some kids have choices. They can do projects. They can do research. They can do activism. So there's a lot of different ways they could achieve it. Most of the stuff kids are already doing here, and they would only have to take on like one extra project. So that's a really exciting thing, because then, in addition to our plan to give her a diploma with a distinction, we have an additional distinction from New York State. And there's not that much more into it other than just getting, us applying for it and making it available for the kids. Zero to 5 literacy is something that's a little more in its infancy. That's been around, but we're just starting to explore it. I'm working with the language department with this, but it's the same kind of thing. It's a little sticker that goes on the diploma from New York State, and it's if you meet certain language requirements. So I'm currently working with Edward and Tiffany and Linda to kind of, figure all that. So we're trying to provide all these extra opportunities for our students. And then finally, as you know, we've been doing the diversity, equity, inclusion. We handed out a survey, I don't remember, it was a while ago. And so Dr. Nick and I, we met with 20 students, so we met with the class officers, and then picked some other kids who were, different than the class officers. You don't want to pick the same people, the same friend group, the same things. And so just, we met with them to discuss how do we build stronger connections among students and staff, which was an area of improvement that students said on the survey. That was something that was kind of, it wasn't terrible, but it was lower than you'd want it to be. How do you improve connections with students, and then how might you handle like difficult social or current event situations that occur in the classroom? I couldn't put everything up on one slide, and I didn't want to have 50 slides, but I just tried to summarize it because there were a lot of common themes. They wanted more time to socially interact and get to know people they would not normally meet. You saw a vast appreciation for starters for the same things. Kids want to know who's in their community, right? You can't have a community where you just, I know what you look like, but I don't know anything about you. And so kids express that. Every group, kids express that appreciation for starters and wanting to get to know their teachers on a more personal level. A big part of also social interaction wasn't just star days. And they expressed the desire for social interactions in the classroom, more group work, more different learning styles. They really spoke highly of teachers that put them in groups. They liked having discussions. They like when you have different choices of how to be assessed. They like when you're not doing the same thing every day. So we heard these things over and over and over again, so that they want that differentiation in their learning. So I thought it was an interesting thing that you might not expect to hear from them. A lot of this comes down to students want to express their voices. And I think we talk about this all the time, increasing student talk. No kid, probably no adult, wants to just sit and be talked at for 43 minutes, right? They want to have the opportunity, what is on their mind, and they want to express their voices. So they want opportunities for that within groups, within large groups, within surveys, like that they're really interested in that. And I can tell you, a lot of the kids, they were there, they were really excited to be there. Well, the pizza was exciting. I think they were more excited to talk, to have a chance to, talk to us about this. We spent a couple of hours up there. And they talked about, in terms of dealing with some of the social issues, difficult issues, to have combinations for, I use a combination for ENL learners because that came up. We recently had a student who doesn't speak any English. And so, how do you accommodate a student like that? And the kids have some good ideas. Obviously, it said it'd be great if you have a translator in every room, but we understand that's not realistic. But they talked about, different signage and things like that, maybe multi-language assignments, and things of that nature to make them feel more included. So we have a lot of fantastic insight from the kids. And this is just kind of a summary of it.
What was that leadership ownership?
Oh, I got to skip over that. So they want leadership roles, and they want ownership over what goes on in the classroom. Like them as students, like they want to be. One thing is that which I thought was interesting. They want to be able to say to their teachers, "We like these activities. We don't really like this activity. Can we do more of this? Can we do more of And that might differ from class to class. They express the desire to almost take control isn't the right word, but we always talk about our ideal is for teachers to be facilitators, right? And the students really lead the discussion, and that's what they were referencing there. And they want opportunities to actually give feedback to the teacher, not me. No one was like, I want to yell at the teacher. No one was like, I want to sit here and do nothing all day. It was like, we learn best a certain way, and we want to be heard, and we want to lead those styles into what's going to be best for us. And we have all the spaces, so the cafeteria we just did, we'll just go to the quick. Just show some things. So the cafeteria has been great. It's the cafeteria right now. It's like a cafe. It's like a Starbucks. I know Tracy can talk about this because Tracy and I did lunch duty, and it was like lunch duty day 1. We were in the old cafeteria where there was like the round tables with the glass, and it was like horrific. And everywhere I had 4 teachers in the lunchroom, and everyone was miserable. The kids were miserable. And then day 2, we come into this, and it was like we entered another world. Like everyone was so happy. There's a ton of space here. On the starter day, we fit almost the entire school into the cafeteria, which is actually mind-blowing because it's deceptively big. You don't know how big it is till you see it with the kids and see how much space you have. But it also just creates a tremendous amount of togetherness. In the cafeteria, we have teachers eating with students, we have teachers circulating with students, we have Joe hanging out with the students, and the kids are just so happy and just so relaxed. It's not like a school lunchroom. It's like they're going to hang out with their friends. You know what I mean? And so it creates a wonderful vibe in the lunchroom. But it's more than that. We talked about it before. Lunch is 2 periods a day. So what happens in the other 7? What happens in the other 7 is now you have this wonderful learning space. And we've already had several teachers bring their kids here for roundtable discussions, for presentations, for poetry reading. In fact, tomorrow, Mr. Schuff and Mr. Harnder are bringing a student, they're bringing their 4th period class into the cafeteria to talk, a student who has a military story about, I think, an uncle who died in Vietnam. I'll know more tomorrow after I watch the presentation. So that they use it for all these different guys. She was family worker in there, having like book discussions, and then she actually had a sign on her room, come to the Canajoharie Cafe, and that's so in case the kid went to the class, they would go to the Canajoharie Cafe instead. Miss Lauer in there doing math projects, so it's become a great learning space, and it's big enough that you can fit more than 1 class. And so we're already talking next year, and Mr. Shaw, Mr. Harder, and Ms. Vanderwerf are already talking about doing an interdisciplinary project where they can bring their English and their global classes together to work together. So super, super, super exciting. Just to kind of see it. But it really is good. And just on a personal level, when I saw the furniture, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I had no idea the impact it would have. I really didn't. I was like, this is cool, but it's still lunchroom, but it really is more than that because it's a learning space, it's a community space, it's a space for the kids to bond. It really is. It's amazing. So high school media center, same kind of thing. So you can see, the tabbies come here.
Can I just say something too?
Yeah.
With our star days, we've always done the lunches. That's last star day where all the kids were, and we could have put everybody in there, but we gave them the opportunity, like, so it might be too much for certain individuals to be in there. They ran out of the breakfast sandwiches. They ran, you know what I mean? Like, kids were comfortable and ate. It was, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people get nervous about eating with them. We always take a lunch time or whatever, but that was like, oh man, kids all ate, everybody ate. So I still contribute that to the comfort that was made with the cheese.
It is that more relaxed atmosphere that you saw that the kids are on top of each other, you know what I mean? And they're having fun. Where, before it's still a lunchroom. It's like, it's crazy, but it's true. It really is amazing what it is for furniture. The media center, Tabby talked to CSI last week. You kind of already know what's going on here. But it's good just to see what the new space looks like. And the same thing, we have our English teachers up here doing various research projects. And you can't fit more than 1 class. It's almost segmented off where you got, one class over there in the corner, like in that picture. But if you pan it out, you see there's another lobby. So you have a lot of different flexibility within the media center. And this is the same thing. I was in the media center about right before break. I was just doing walkthroughs, and Miss Sutherland was in here doing her debate paper. And so the kids were researching the topics, they were working in groups. And you had kids sitting on that couch working. And you had kids sitting over there working. It's a good vibe to work together and to kind of commune. I walked to each group. Hey, what's your topic? Tell me about your arguments and all that. So it's just a great space. And then the next room has been revamped, and the stuff that goes here, it feels less like a classroom and more like a community. So we keep going back to that. I walked into Mr. Shaw and Mr. Harmer's PIC class yesterday, and you had seniors huddled at the table, working together, researching who's our senators, who's our representatives, so that they're researching their local and state delegates, which is exciting, and they're all sitting there talking, but it's set up in a way that kids get to work together and kids get to talk, and so it's just a ton of opportunities here. Another day I was in the mega room, kids were all just watching a video, and so it's set up nicely for that. Another day, kids were, stationed where kids were presenting to their peers, and the peers would circulate to each station. So these new spaces give a ton of new opportunities for education, as well as for different learning methods and different community opportunities. So really super impressed by it. So this is, so you can kind of see just how it looks. Remember, Mr. Shaw and Mr. Harder always have 2 classes. But you see the space, it doesn't feel packed. Kids are everywhere. You have about 40-something kids in this class, but they have the space to do any number of things. Earlier in the year, before the mega room, I might have said this before, they were doing presentations, the kids were all out in the hallway. Which is cool, they have the space for it, there's really no one else in that hallway. But now, with the mega room, the cafeteria, you have much bigger space where everybody gets to be a part of it. And then we have the common areas. And so we have kids who come out in the library and sit and work here. And so we'll continue. These are new. I don't think we've kind of fully explored these yet or fully know how they're going to work yet. But this is something we'll continue to look at as we get more of these into the school. Is this?
Yeah, what we did is we reached out to graduates. We talked about the board wanted some information on graduates and surveys, so we received some information back on it. And what we did is we asked them some questions about, how were they prepared? Some were prepared, completely prepared. No one responded with not prepared. About 75% felt like they were somewhat prepared. 25% said completely prepared. And that was kind of the expected response that they should, because college is a little bit, shocking to them when they leave. We asked them what courses would they like if they had them now, as opposed to now they're in college or in a job, or what other courses would help them. And they said AP Calc, AP Physics, AP Chem, computer programming, robotics, financial management, investing, sign language, agriculture. So it was good feedback to kind of get that. But also skills, what they needed for future success, what they thought that they were back in high school, and they said writing, study skills, and organization skills, problem solving, presentation skills, and communication. So that. So good feedback allows us to now take some of this and see where we can fit some of this in and start to develop some of that. So each year we'll start to kind of expand this more and more, and hopefully give you more feedback. So go ahead. And any question? There's a lot going on, right? I mean, this is obviously beyond your regular classroom stuff. Not to mention the intramurals. And when I just talked to Nick said, here we have 30, 40 kids in the fitness center. Here we have 78 kids in a neuro program. Here we have how many kids in the after school program for recovery?
At the highest it was 30. Right now it's 7 because of failure.
Add all that up plus your sports. I mean, that's hundreds of kids involved in something to get them socially connected somewhere. And that's all the stuff that we've invested in to try to make that happen. So we encourage it. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you all for the presentations, and it really is inspiring and really hopeful to see all that's going on and keep up the good work.
So, football reception, new items, right? And they were, what's that? Yeah, just something out, just something a little bit of fun for the kids. I saw this in community college, the president did it. They made a contest where they can compete to be president for the day, and then the president would be the student for the day. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the students. They had an opportunity to kind of reach out to me and do like a video, and whoever showed the best video, they'll mirror me for the day and say, see how schools go, and I'll come in and be a student for the day. It's been pretty neat to see the eyes of the student for the day. So something a little bit different for them. And then we had, scroll up a little bit. Budget hearing, remember next week, we're back to back with, Board of Education meeting next week. Next week is 6:30 in here for the budget hearing. And then, any, Board of Education members who want to speak, talk or anything of that nature at 6:30, and we'll go into our regular board meeting, at 7 o'clock.
You're talking about
Candidates, correct, yes, sorry, yep.
unless you want to speak.
And, so we have, a presentation for the faculty and staff on Monday for the budget. We have one, next Thursday, I'm going to Arkell Friday, and then I'm gonna host a, online one for anybody in the public who couldn't make it for the following Monday. And then the newsletter's finished, went to the publisher yesterday, and that'll be out, a good solid 10 to 12 days, prior to the budget, because we've heard, last, a couple years back, that, sometimes it takes 7 to 8 days to get the mail out, so now we get a solid 10 to 12 days out, so people will make sure they get it before the,
What are the hours for that?
voting 12 to 8.
Nice.
No, at the, East Hill, Library, that way, people just go in one location, go through the school. And the reason why we only did it to 8 is because we did a survey of how many people actually come 8 to 9, and there's really hardly anybody that comes 8 to 9. So, we'll go 8 o'clock and tally everything up. So, I think we have a very good budget, obviously, and we'll, move forward with that. So, just one other thing I wanted to bring up, we just had a meeting today. I'll let you know as it comes, as you start to hear, because it might come a little faster. A company reached out to us about a pilot program again for solar at Downtown Bridge. Just a quick thing on solar, on pilot programs, and we probably didn't know enough about this a couple years ago. Pilot programs are good because they give you cash, but they take away from your tax cap. So what happens is, okay, great, we have this pilot program for 15 years, but what happens is, if you get 1% less on tax and 1.5% less on tax, you never recoup that ever. So they're coming out with a new concept where it's an educational contribution, and you enter into a pilot for $1 a year, and you get the contribution up front, so it doesn't go into your tax roll. So for example, we're negotiating now to get anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 up front, and then we enter into a pilot for $1 a year for 15 years. So then $1 a year is taken away from our tax cap. In the meantime, we get those funds up front. So as soon as I get some agreements, I'm talking with legal to see if it matches financially for the wattage. I don't want to be taken advantage of either in terms of finances. Then we'll just have to figure out, either from the finance committee meeting or the board, what we want to do with that, and put it in reserves, whatever we feel like we need to do with those funds. But it's money up front, it's going to probably happen, so might as well take advantage of that in our tax cap for the future. So that's really about it. I don't have anything for executive session. If you guys don't, we have next week's meeting, so we'll be. Make sense? Any questions?
No. I came because I wanted to formally invite all the board members to the group paper. That was fun. It was good. So I didn't mail yours, and I didn't mail yours. And everybody else who's here got an email invitation. And Jen, you're already coming, so.
Yeah.
But you can, you're already on the list. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll put it into the auction, and we'll get funds back from that, and then we replace some of it, so we reference the elementary. Yeah. Yeah. So we put the round tables, put on three rooms down in elementary school. Yeah. We move that meeting from the Thursday to a Wednesday or Tuesday. Is anybody have a problem with Wednesday?
You have a problem with this, is there anything going on in school that?
So. They have this,
That's in here, let's go.
we're good. Nothing, we're pushing going on that Wednesday if we want to. All right, we'll move to 25th to send out for communications. You guys make a motion to adjourn and all set.
Motion.
Okay, good night.